trucks used to not just park out here, but they used to park all alongside this road. And I don't know if they still do or if they stopped them from doing that, if they don't want them doing that anymore. But during the early years, like 2017, 2018, 2019, this is where I found my home. And I would actually, I believe, I would park right underneath this sign. It says no parking at any time. There should be all kinds of homeless people used to park up and down here. And even further down there where you see those trees that says the road closed, down off that way they used to be camped up alongside that fence there too as well. And so here's this, and so people used to park off this way too as well. And now they got these no parking signs everywhere. But I'd park like somewhere right in here or something, and I would because there'd be a bunch of people on that road over there, and so I kind of wanted to bathe myself. I had to change, and so I had some just like a soap bar and like a wet rag, and I just kind of wipe myself down a little bit real quick and change out of like some work clothes. Okay, so I'm coming up to it. Where's it at? A light pole right there over my shoulder. Coming up to it. That's where I used to park. Every night, I'd mostly try to get this spot because it was under a light. Like I said, I would come off of work and I'd come out here and I'd wash myself, go down that side road, wash myself, and I'd circle back around and probably get something to eat or something like that beforehand, and I'd come right here and park. Didn't have the no parking sign then. Everyone was allowed to park up and down here until then they put a stop to it. If I couldn't get this spot, there'd be lined up trucks here, and in the beginning it was kind of sparse, and so you just kind of had to squeeze in some places. But a couple of things that happened here. One of the biggest events, I want to make sure I'm by the pole that I used to. Anyways, so I was sleeping here, and I had kind of just started laying down, and I'd have my phone going, watching something. Nobody was around. There was like it is now. Nobody was around. My driver's side window was broken. My driver's side door didn't lock. I would put up like towels and like cardboard across like the front windshield, and I would just kind of get some blankets, and I'd lay down on the driver's seat and kind of to the side, and I'd go to sleep. Well, a couple of guys late that night came and bothered me, and they came up and they go, "Hello, is anybody in there?" And I didn't respond because I was just hoping they'd go away. And then they were like, "Well, we're gonna come in," and I didn't respond. I kind of just hoping that they would go away, and they did. But that frustrated me, and especially knowing that I was already embarking on the journey that I was going on, and knowing that it would already started, making its ways around people. I'd figured that these people were just, people out to harass me because they knew who I was. Anyway, so I'd see where that white truck's at. They're about off that in that distance. And so I got out of the car, and after they walked off, I thought, man, that's not right. And so I got out of the car and I looked around. I think there was one other car over there, and they had already gotten kind of far. So I was like, I didn't see anybody else, and so I think they were walking from that car back that direction. Like they had walked. I don't know which way they had went. So anyways, I asked them. I said, "Hey, were you guys messing with me in my car?" And they go, no, it wasn't us. Of course you're thinking that's bullshit, but you're not gonna, it could be a possibility of, so I missed somebody. Maybe it was dark. I got in my car and I went down to the gas station, and I looked around for somebody. There was some guy on a bike that looked kind of raggedy and dirty and stuff, and I asked him, "Hey, have you seen a couple guys walking around here?" And I think he probably didn't say anything about it. He probably said no or something, It was some tweaker, freaking scrapping middle, probably stealing copper. So I come back this way, and I took that side road that I was just on before. So I followed them down that way, and they got onto They must have got, I don't know how the heck they got that far that quick, but they were down off on this other main road over there. And so I seen them walking, and so they kind of like punked me a little bit in my car. And but then I would kind of circle around, and I was, I didn't know what I was going to end up doing. I was just so frustrated. Anyway, so they hid in bushes. They took off running and hiding in bushes. And so I kind of circled around a little bit, and I didn't think nothing of it, and I just left it alone for the night. The next morning, though, I wanted to see what was going on, and I'll show you that. Another thing that happened was I was probably parked right at this pole, probably 20, 30 feet ahead of me or so, or maybe so. There was a guy being really loud in a van. He was playing like drums. He's probably some tweaker tweaking out on something. But this has always been something that somebody is doing something towards me. And to aggravate me, to frustrate me, they probably wanted me to try to leave this place because I was becoming too comfortable, and it was too much of a luxury, and I don't deserve to even find a decent place to sleep in my car. So I kind of got in my car, and I parked up next to him, and I honked my horn, I revved my engine, and he got all mad about that. And so I took off. I was just going to head out for the night because I knew I'd already frustrated him, and I knew I wasn't going to come back, and I knew we'd end up getting into a fight or something. So I got back to the stoplight over there. I didn't even see him, but he was coming back this way, and we were right at that stoplight, and he goes, "Hey man, get the hell out of here, or I'm gonna stick you." And so I didn't really think much. I just took off. I was like, all right, whatever. I ain't gonna try to fight this dude. So I have a continuation of that sticking story for you. And then along that fence, if you can see it way back there, where's that? Okay, so that long stuff right there, that stuff, those towers right there, that's a cement plant. Well, that's a cell phone tower, but right beside it is a cement plant. There was a bunch of homeless people camped out in that way, and I knew what was going on, so I kind of wanted to call people out on it, but I wanted to make it look like I was just on the phone. So I remember I would walk up and down that road, the middle of the road right there, acting like I was on the phone to somebody, cussing somebody out. Well, yeah, I know all these people, got all these freaking people involved, and da 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 da. And I was trying to be defensive. I didn't know what to do. I was trying to puff it up a little bit, leave me alone with whatever this was going on. I didn't realize that this was really legitimately going to be this big of an ordeal that they are actually making it's a biblical event. Trust me, it is a biblical event, and it does carry a humongous amount of weight, but not anything close to what they've been doing. As we grow. We're in a completely different time than the Jesus days and that kind of stuff, and so I'm just enlightened like other people that are happening around this time. I remember that other thing that was happening. So I fell asleep, and Sabrina invades my dreams, or somebody does. I don't know if you could kind of call this enlightenment, like it's one big giant active lucid dream that's constantly going on. But within that realm of things, you're also able to subconsciously do stuff to people. They can make me smell things. They can input songs into my head. They can make me think certain thoughts a certain direction, and they could also make me have certain dreams. And they've done this quite often. Anyway, so I was sleeping in my car. There was this tall, like homeless looking man, but he had long curly hair. And so my middle name's Scott Searcy, and everyone knows me by my family and friends know me by Scott Searcy. Kevin Searcy is kind of like my first name, but I use it as like a professional kind of thing and that kind of stuff. So anyways, in my dream, this guy would pop up in 3 different spots on this road, and he would go, Scott Searcy, Scott Searcy, Scott Searcy, Scott Searcy, Scott Searcy, Scott Searcy. That was before I kind of knew that all of this stuff was that really intrusive into my dreams, or into your psyche that much. But I spent a lot of time sleeping here. It was okay in the beginning. I really thought that this was going to be just like a little scare tactic to me, or like it was just going to be a temporary thing. Like, we got you, we're playing like this little joke on you, buddy, and And I didn't think it was going to be really like they're really like trying to hedge these tactics against me, and they believe that they have increased their power. And I've witnessed things that they have not only done to me but throughout the community that that I think puts the community at risk, and I think that they are at risk to people. I think that whatever this thing is that they believe that they have enforced is not only detrimental to the health at me, and I've taken a big hit, but has taken over communities, and has made them believe that they need to see me suffer in front of them in order to some Jesus justification or something like that. They're the ones claiming I'm enlightened, and I may have like angelic level of things, and it's a long story. You can't judge me by it until you can't judge me by it until you see all the facts. And I'm trying to be a professional, put together the facts, do the real work that's involved with this thing, because there's hundreds of thousands of other people going through this experience, and we legitimately have a historical documentation of this event. And it actually, and since we've updated our research, it can actually find it in places in that we could expand on it in like biological nature and science nature and that kind of stuff, and how it all works. So I'm trying to open up those. It's my right to express that, even if the research is there. I'm not looking at any research that hasn't been published. I'm not looking at any research that people have just made up. I'm looking at people that have really taken it, that have been able to be in better positions than I have been, and do some research about these things. And I'm just trying to be a contributor to it, and I'm being totally ripped apart. And so anyways, I'm trying to put this together to seek help.